This is a quick video on how can I promote my cleaning service. And what this is a master template, and this template can apply to janitorial services, commercial cleaning services, all the different specialties. If you want to focus on carpet or tile, VCT, air duct cleaning, all of those specialty commercial services, this template can apply to. And what the purpose of this is, it's just a simple way to keep all of our information in one place, in one box. And what we're going to do is we're going to start over here on the left, and we're just going to progress through all of these different questions, and then it's going to give us the answer. All these different questions that come up in marketing, it can be very confusing. So this is just a simple way to see everything all at once. So where we're going to start is over here on the left is what is my goal? Because what happens is each of these questions are in sequence and they lead to the next question. So the starting point is what is my goal? And if your goal is to be an owner operator and you want 100 or 200,000 in sales, do you want to be a mid-sized company with 1 million? Or do you want to be one of these real beasts that have tens of millions or 10 million in sales? It's not for me to judge. We all have different goals in life, and this is our starting point, and we want to start there because this answers a lot of these other questions is by, well, what's our goal? What's our vision? And we go next then to account targets, and accounts are businesses. What are the businesses that we want to target? And from there, we then ask the question of, okay, well, based on these businesses, who's the lead? And leads are people. So if you ever get confused about accounts and leads, accounts are businesses, leads are people. And this can completely change based on the businesses. So if you're going after industrial buildings, you're probably going to be dealing with facility managers. Well, if you're going after medical, you're probably going to be dealing with office managers or office practitioners, sometimes they call them. So that's why we want to keep following this progression. And what services are we going to provide based on these people and these businesses? Because that can completely change. An industrial place might have completely different needs than a medical place. So that's why we're going to continue to ask these questions. What services can I provide to these businesses? From there, we go to the value proposition. Okay, based on the services we're providing and the people and the businesses, what messages would appeal to this group? From there, we go to the channel, because this is the main question everyone always wants to know. What channel? Where? How? Do I go on YouTube? Do I go on LinkedIn? Do I go direct mail? And the answer is, if you follow this template, is you just keep going backwards and you take into account all of this information. Your message, what services, the people especially, and then the types of businesses you're trying to reach. That's how you decide on the channel. Because an older demographic like property managers, well, some channels like direct mail or phone can be very effective. And then there's younger demographics like, say, restaurants, where maybe social media would be more effective. And that's why we're following this. And basically what's happening is as we go through and answer these questions, we're doubling back to get our answers. And from after we choose what channels, and you can have more than one, I would recommend having at least 5 over the short term, and over the long term, 10. And not all of them have to be big. Some of them can be really small, an hour a month, an hour a quarter, something like that. And it can still be effective. From there, we go to customer segments. And with customer segments, I'm going to go to our website because I want to show you this is on our homepage, methodcleanbiz.com. And on our homepage, I have this graphic, and this explains our whole platform is account-based marketing and how we want to cut up based on these questions we answered here of, the channels, the services, the leads, what kind of businesses, especially what kinds of businesses. Well, then when we get to how are we going to cut this up, we want to devote 80% of our time to key accounts. And these key accounts are are dedicated. These are our big movers because if we're spending $1,000 a month, for example, well, we want to spend 80% of that on the big movers. We don't want to spend it equally because different accounts spend different types of money. So we want to get the most bang for our buck, and that's why we're doing key account marketing. That's why we're doing account-based marketing. That's the whole purpose, is to get the best payoffs. So from there, we're going to figure out, okay, which ones are growth accounts? Because, some of these smaller businesses, maybe they have 5 or 10,000 square feet, but they're growing. And maybe in 2 years or 3 years, it could lead to a $10,000 a month account. So we still want to invest some money in these growth accounts. And then we have opportunities. And opportunities, depending on the service you provide, can be a lot of different things. Uh, I would consider AdWords to be like an opportunity because it can be very difficult with something like AdWords to control who comes in. The person who comes in could be looking to spend $500 or $50,000. There's no way to really control that. I mean, you kind of can in your messages, but I would still consider that an opportunity. And over the long term, we can turn those opportunities into big accounts. But I still wouldn't want to devote all of my money to that kind of cold advertising just because you can't control it. So that is the section on customer segments. Is out of these businesses, how are we going to cut this up? From there, we go to our budget. So we've decided on our channels, and our channels are going to be phone, LinkedIn, mail, and YouTube. And with our budget, there's two ways to think of your budget. It's your time and your money. So for argument's sake, and time can be a marketer too or salesperson, because we still want these salespeople and marketers and us to cut our time up so we're getting the best payoff. So for argument's sake, let's say you were going to spend $1,000 a month and 20 hours a month in actual work. And then you would just cut it up and say, okay, well, out of that, I'm going to spend 50% on the phone. And then I'm going to spend 20% on LinkedIn and 20% on direct mail and then 10% on some YouTube videos. And these are just examples. You could do this however you want. And really what you're supposed to do with these channels is back through all of this. But at least I would at least have 4, 5, 6 of these, even if you're just starting off. And after the budget, so now we have our budget, and next and lastly, it's okay, we have this budget, we're doing this every month, quarter, year. We want to measure the results. And that's how we decide how to change this. And for measuring our results, some of the basics would be, what are our sales, what's our KPIs, and KPIs is basically the small stuff. How many people are responding to our phone, our LinkedIn, clicks, stuff like that, views on YouTube. Those are KPIs. Those are like leading indicators. It's showing you if you're going in the right direction. So that's a way to keep track. And profit, because I think what you're going to find with these different channels, because I know I do, is some of these channels produce great KPIs and maybe even sales, but not always profit. For whatever, there's all kinds of reasons why, but you'll find over time that you'll end up adjusting your budget because some of these may produce a lot more profit. So we want to keep investing in where we're going to get a profit, which leads us to our return on investment. And that's the last one. One thing I want to point out with return on investment is this is something that gets confusing with KPIs. Return on investment is long term. This money that I'm budgeting and I'm spending in hours, what is happening over the long term? That's what return on investment is. 6 months, a year, 3 years, 5 years. That's how we want to be thinking of ROI. In these KPIs, that's more the small, immediate stuff that's happening day to day, month to month, because these things can change over long periods of time. Sometimes it takes some campaigns to really kick in until they show their value, until you really see the return on investment.